Right, are we live? We've had a little bit of a technical problem. I was sitting in the studio, all ready to go, and couldn't get an internet connection. So we're here in the office. This is quite a good view, actually, isn't it? So if you're joining us on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, let me know. We can bring your comments in. As you know, along the side, you can ask our guest anything you would like. Well, I say anything you'd like. You probably might be a bit concerned about that, but he's a bright chap. He probably would know. You know, he's an agony uncle as well. Ask him anything you want. He'll help you out. Right, what have I got to tell you? We're going to do another live event. You know how we've been doing these like long 3, 4, 5 guest thing. 29th of September, we're going to do it on because International Podcast Day is the 30th of September. So this is to celebrate that. But also the 200th episode is coming up. So, yeah, we're going to do that. Now, I've just had a text here saying, where is the stream? Misha Steele, can you see? Are we on Twitter as well? If someone's watching on Twitter, let me know. Yes, it's our 200th episode. So yeah, we're going to do a little bit of an event for that. Gonna have to check this on Twitter to see if we're on. If you're watching, please share it as well. We want to try to reach as many people as we can with these because we're having some great guests on. So it's only right that we should be sharing. There we are. We're on Twitter on Industry Angel. I'm going to retweet that. We should be on Facebook as well. And there you go. I can see people now coming in the room. There you go. I think there's about a 30 seconds delay using this bit of software. So what else do I have to say? I think that's about it because I can see our man in the green room there. And handsome chap as ever, smiling away. So today's guest has been awarded an OBE for services to small firms and 2 Lifetime Achievement Awards for Enterprise. He is the micro business champion, a multiple business owner, ambassador for 3 Million Excluded UK. We're going to talk a lot about that. And the co-author of the Happipreneur, Why MicroBiz Matters. Welcome to the Industry Angel, Tony Robinson, OBE.
Well, good morning, Sir Ian. How nice to see you.
It's good. Tony, I must admit, I had a bit of a panic on again. This is every time I go live, but that's the nature of live, eh?
Well, we're here now. It's going to be great. So fire away, Ian.
But I can just see people coming in there. We've got our friend Katie here. Morning, Katie. Tony's such a great guy. Yes, he is indeed. And people might have saw you, Tony, from our neck of the woods at International Podcast Day at Startup Week, because you're a huge supporter of Newcastle Startup Week, and we often see you there.
Absolutely fantastic. And I did an interview for Startup Week, Newcastle Startup Week next week. Get your tickets. It's absolutely fantastic, and supporting Paul Lancaster, who's done just the most amazing things. Well, not just for the north of England, but for micro business owners right throughout the nation. Absolutely fantastic guy. Newcastle Startup Week. Shame it's virtual, but get your tickets. It's going to be great. And I've done a little piece for it as well. So.
Good man. So you pre-recorded that with Paul, yeah?
Yeah, that's right.
Excellent. And you just touched upon there. It is sad that it's remote. I'm suffering, if I must admit, Tony, because I love the interaction, the energy that I get back from people. You know, hugs and selfies and handshakes and meeting. Absolutely. You know, you and I had a chat at Newcastle Startup Week a couple of years ago.
And the evenings were the real fun, weren't they, of Newcastle Startup Week?
Apparently.
Without the presentations, it was all the different places that we were able to sup a few beers in and get to know each other. In fact, I did my show, didn't I, in a little club that you saw, and that was a couple of years ago, I think. But yeah, it was great, absolutely great.
Yeah, that was great. And you're right, because we get to see different venues, but unfortunately, maybe next year, eh?
Yeah, let's hope so.
So then, I've been trying to get you, Tony, with me for a couple of months, but you've been so busy in this current project of yours, the Happipreneur.
Yeah, and campaigning really. I made the decision that it's only in the last 10 days I've started appearing live again, kind of thing. Most people may have thought I was dead, but I'm still here. Oh, but still here. And so yeah, I've been campaigning for the 3 million excluded UK really, because it's a national tragedy really, and so I didn't want to take any limelight away from the founders of that fantastic movement and all the other great groups like Forgotten Limited and Justice for the Newly Self-Employed and Winter Group. And so I've just been wheeling away in the background trying to support them all. And we've tried to do as much as we can. And of course, the exciting news, which you mentioned, which is obviously this has just launched. And so I've got to reappear now and plug the book.
Good man.
2-year project that was, to create The New Small is Beautiful. And we hope we've done it. You'll be the judge, Ian.
I will indeed. I'll tell you what it is, I want to touch upon that, but let's just go back a little bit to the 3 million excluded, because I think it'd be remiss if we didn't spend a little bit of time on that.
Yeah.
The 3 million, Tony, where does that figure come from?
Yeah, the figure comes from an awful lot of groups that have been excluded, and certainly 2.2 million of them are the people that I spend my life campaigning for, which are self-employed and micro business owners, and they've been excluded from income support right from the beginning of lockdown. They've had nothing. We've had suicides, lots of mental health issues, as you can imagine, people selling houses. It is a national tragedy. There are many and various reasons given by my friends at the Treasury that as to why they are excluded. But the whole point for you and me, Ian, is the fact that they have received little or absolutely no income support for 6 months now. And, we're very positive people, but that's a very serious issue. And the reasons we could go into for the different groups, but they are all ways of not paying out to self-employed and micro business owners, which is part of the reason I'm the micro business champion, is that I've been campaigning for so long because I've seen this discrimination against self-employed and micro business owners. And the discrimination is in favour of the large companies that got the bulk of the money through furloughing employees and so forth. And they had to cut off somewhere, and they genuinely see self-employed people and micro business owners as deadweight in the economy, which is of course not true. The economy will grow because of new jobs, creativity, innovation by people running their own businesses. But their first priority is to employees and not self-employed people and micro business owners and the large companies that have those employees. So it's tough. Every morning you wake up to some horrible things that have actually happened. But what I must say is that the campaign has been absolutely brilliant. It's been inspirational. It's been motivational. And there are hundreds of thousands of us. We're not going away. We're going to make life better for those 3 million. It may take us some time, but we're determined to do it. We're doing fundraising now as well, so we're not just relying on government. We're actually trying to raise funds by different means and different projects as well.
Innovation, Tony, I think we all know it comes from the SME space.
Yeah.
And we've got to keep this space alive.
Yeah.
Is there an answer? Like how it's hard to put a blanket kind of answer across. I mean,
Sure. But there is, okay. Ian, you're absolutely right. And I mean, it relies on one thing, and that's why that's what links into the book really, is that Schumacher said in 1973 with Small is Beautiful that if we didn't have economics as if people mattered, which was actually backing small enterprise and small business owners and entrepreneurs, that he regarded as just, and not all of us, a lot of villains as well, but you know what I mean. But generally, we're part of our communities, we're innovators, we're creators, we're trying to make ends meet, and we're not exploiters as such. Whereas he said big, investor-led large corporations will only make the rich richer and the poor poorer. And he was really worried about our limited resources on this planet, really. And he said, you know, quite clearly, the large corporations will use up all the resources in the planet in their push for growth and greater wealth for a small number of people. So the only way, he said, of actually doing something, and it's as true today as it was in 1973 when he wrote it, is for the communities to actually work together and create their own ecosystems. Don't try and be reliant on government for anything. And that's why, I don't know if you remember when I did that gig in the club, I said that I quoted Albert Ellis that said, masturbation is good, but masturbation, do you remember this, is
yes,
evil.
yes.
And that means you're actually taking the philosophy that, you know, I must succeed, I must be treated well, you must treat me well, the world must be easy, government and the president must look after me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We cannot rely on anybody. We can control our own thoughts and actions. And if we all, as business owners and micro business owners like you and me, work together and realize that our competition is actually these large corporations that choose our governments and back our governments and various things, yeah? And we actually need to create our own communities, and we need to start looking after it. So the fantastic thing, really fantastic thing to come out of this sad situation, 3 million being excluded, is that hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people have got together and are actually helping each other as a result of it. So we are actually creating something of an enterprise revolution as we speak. And that is the good. I don't think there will be a day now that people don't actually take a look for their neighbor as a micro business owner or self-employed person, say, are you doing all right? Is there anything I can do? Shall we swap skills? Shall we, I'm chair of something called Yorkshire in Business, and it's one of the most successful enterprise agencies in the UK. And the reason we've been successful is that we put every penny that we make out of renting out our 5 buildings, office space, co-working space, various things like that, into providing free startup advice from professional business advisors. And it's really good. And that's our mission, to provide everybody that wants it with free startup advice. High quality, accessible. But the interesting thing is that we have actually got communities in these different buildings. So we've now got Etsy communities, we've now got craft communities, we've got groups of people actually getting pop-up shops because our high street's in a mess in Scarborough, for example, yeah, and taking some space, and 6 or 7 business collaboratively working together, yeah, and that's the future, and that's where all the innovation and creativity comes from. And it's exciting. So some good has come out of it. And, that is the way ahead. It's all about communities. And there are lots of large companies that contact me all the time because of, all the work I've done over, 30 years, I suppose. And they're all saying, how can we engage with micro businesses, self-employed? And I said, the first thing is you've got to be trusted, and they come to you. You're not going to be able to flog things to them.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good thing, really, because they'll have to start deciding that we won't actually buy from the companies that say have take it or leave it 120-day payment terms for a micro business owner or a self-employed person. Yeah. as a community, we can do something about it. Say, well, no, we're not going to buy from you. We're not going to put money in your bank, for example. We're not going to shop from your major supermarket with its 75-day terms for self-employed and micro-biz owners. So do you know what I mean? If we work together as a community, I think, the world is our lobster, as Del Boy said.
I often bang the drum about this, and I don't want to get too much on my soapbox, but some of these large corporates have these SME acceleration schemes where the government says they need to push a certain amount of their turnover to the SME space. So they engage with SMEs, they bring us all in, we sit there, we listen to all their great ideas, they show some PowerPoints, they bring various members of staff in and show various projects that might happen. And I don't really hear much else.
Yeah.
Are they paying lip service to this? Because this is what I've experienced.
It is lip service, and it's also what is pretty terrible, really, in terms of economic development terms, is they're actually playing a numbers game.
Okay.
So basically, out of all this effort, they might wreck 9 lives out of 10, but they'll get 1. Yeah. That's what they want, and that is the dark side of what a lot of the accelerators and scale-ups are about, and it's also the dark side, really, of the whole government being part of the financial services industry in being a major provider of loans, really. And you've seen it there's no difference between startup loans and student loans. It's a noose around your neck, isn't it? It's just at the time that you don't need a noose around your neck and you don't need to have your credit rating disappear to nothing. Yeah. When you're at your most vulnerable, they've got you exactly where they want you, and it wrecks lives. There's 40% default rates on some of these loans underpinned by government funding. Terrible.
You've always said, bootstrap, don't borrow.
Yeah.
And what's your thoughts on the bounce back loan situation that we've come across?
Well, I think I'll answer it just very, very quickly. The UK is about the 21st place in the world in terms of a great place to work and live. It's right down there. And the USA is 23rd, and we copy the USA on various things. All the countries above us actually just gave grants immediately to the micro business owners, locked down far faster than us. Yeah, they realized they wanted it short and fast and as quick as possible, with the minimum amount of damage, and actually the first people. I was in Malta at the time, just before lockdown, so I actually saw it at first hand. The whole country, all the cafes, all the hotels, everywhere shut. They had money straight in their hands. They needed grants. So, bounce back loans are a typical government solution to the fact. Obviously, there'll be huge amounts of defaults, but that will still affect people's credit ratings. Do you know what I mean? It's almost ridiculous to say that they are going to use the ones that have been lucky enough to get bounce back loans, and I know lots of people that have got them, but they're using it to live off, Ian.
Okay.
They can't put it in the business. They're actually trying to survive. They're trying to put food on the table for their families. So, bounce back loans was not the answer. Parity with what employees in furloughed companies got was the answer for micro businessmen, owners and self-employed. It was for them all to receive grants to get them through that period, and lock down severely so that you've got the best chance of restart. I don't think we even got rid of the first wave. We won't talk about COVID today, but I don't think that we've actually bothered like most countries around the world. Yeah, and I think the what can I say? A senior civil servant once said to me about the work I was doing, because he was interested in SMEs. He was interested in the companies above 10 employees. Micro business owners are below 10 employees, or in America, below 5 employees. And government are moving in the UK to take the American model, so it's 5 employees or below. But this senior civil servant, major person, is with a senior banker at the time. And he actually said to me, and he used the phrase, thinking that I was like all scale-up mentality and serious entrepreneurs and all that kind of stuff that they want. He said, "What are we going to do, Tony, with the great unwashed?"
Wow.
And that has motivated me for over 20 years, because the problem is an attitude.
Yeah.
To actually thinking, you've got a cabinet full of millionaires, and they just don't live in our world, Ian.
Yeah.
What they regard as a serious business person isn't me or you or Michael Owen or Paul Lancaster or all our friends. Mm-hmm. We are, yeah. We're bloody proud of the fact that we've earned a living out of our own businesses, haven't we? But they have no idea of that reality.
I've been in Westminster, and I've been down there and watched them speak about Cambridge and Brighton and all these other tech places. We've got Sunderland up here in the northeast, which is great for tech. I could give them a pin, Tony, and I could say, pop that pin in Newcastle or Sunderland. Yeah. And they wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah, absolutely right. No clue at all. Absolutely. And it makes you laugh when, I won't mention the name of the organisation, one think tank organisation funded by the government that I know well, that create the policies that government then take on board with wealthy donors. They actually came up for a coastal regeneration project to Scarborough and various things. And of course, they just weren't interested in the traders on the seafront, or the tech. We've got one or two co-working tech buildings, but all with like independent publishers and all sorts of fantastic creative business. They weren't even interested in looking at them all. They were looking at regenerating, regenerating medium-sized manufacturing and things like that.
Yeah.
Totally unrealistic.
and some of these coastal towns, we're on one here, the Easter and the summer trade takes them right the way through the year. They live off what they've made in the summer during the winter time and keep them ticking over. Exactly. They've missed out on that, and I worry about those. And what I worry about else is that the furlough scheme is going to end. Yeah. What do you think the impact on the economy is going to be when that drops off?
I think that, this is, I've got a number of large companies that are on the Small is Beautiful Roll of Honour, which I curate, and they're absolutely fantastic. But there are a number of major investor-led companies that, pay very little taxes in the UK, and I've worked for them as well. So I know it's true, and I know how they work. That will have used the furloughing money and taken the money, and some of their employees will have continued to work and been asked to continue to work through it. Yeah. Others, they will have taken the money to give themselves time to restructure, so that as soon as the furlough money is taken away from them, they will then make mass redundancies.
That's my concern.
And that's how they work. And so I absolutely fear what I do know we will have, because we will always have that, is we'll have a startup boom. Because self-employment will become the only option for many people, or taking, and excuse my language, many pretty shit jobs that are going to be available after furlough has actually finished, because the companies that are doing the best are some of the companies that are actually, well, who they all are. They're on a list at the top of the FTSE, and all those companies are notoriously bad payers and notoriously targeted in terms of, productivity and, all those kind of jobs. well, a lot of people are going to actually say, no, I'm going to go freelance and I'm going to see what I can do to make ends meet out of my own means. Government will then take credit for the startup boom that we've got, but it's, you know, self-employed people's earnings have been going down for the last 10 years. So this isn't a, you know, the situation we're in is a continuum. You know, COVID has just accelerated what a desperate situation it is for earnings in the country. And the amount of debt in the country has increased exponentially for most people during those 10 years as well. So yeah, when furlough ends, I can understand why, you know, many of the politicians are actually, you know, saying we've got to continue with the furloughing. But I'm actually with a lot of my friends that, you know, like Charlie Mullins, OBE of Pimlico Plumbers, and Kanye King. A lot of my favorite entrepreneurs say, no, you know, let's just you know, start trying to rebuild the economy, really, because I don't trust the large companies with the furloughs money.
Yeah, no, and totally likewise. And I think they're just buying time, really. You know, Mark's just mentioned there that he's experienced redundancies at the first furlough change.
All right. Yeah,
and that's a larger company that Mark works for. Yeah, indeed. Myra makes a great comment here about education around entrepreneurship, and she terms as kidpreneurs. How do you feel about that, Tony? Do you have any input with your stakeholders in terms of being able to influence education around?
Yeah, that point is absolutely right. Yeah, probably the most you know, rewarding thing for me is that I'm patron of something called the John Cracknell Youth Enterprise Bank, and we give small grants to young people starting up. And we also do education from with Hull Youth Enterprise during Global Entrepreneurship Week, from schools from the age of about 7 up to, you know, right up to colleges and universities, if you like. And it's absolutely fantastic. And of course, there are some magnificent success stories. And one of the things I know, a lot of my friends that are, you know, I work with, like Chris Percival, Kanye King, all these kind of people that are, you know, major entrepreneurs now, they all started their businesses at school, you know.
Yes.
You know, and they started their first enterprises at 13, 14 usually. Even someone like Chris Percival, that's now got CEO of a £300 million business, and he's 28 now. You know, he actually, while he was a student, he actually built his business from startup to 3 million within 8 months of leaving. The first time I met him, he got 3 million business within 8 months of leaving university. He got his parents and lots of other people to help out, but you know, there we go. So yeah, I mean, that's tremendously important, and that's what the book is really about, because it's actually a guide for enterprising people. So it's everything I've learned from all of these people. And I hope it is an inspiration for education teachers, really. Teachers, lecturers, academics, parents, particularly, so that they actually can see how you can, you know, control your own destiny by making ends meet out of your own enterprise. And it's tremendously important.
That's a really good point you make there, Tony. So we'll touch upon the book, you know, The Happipreneur. And I never thought for a moment about what you've just said, because I would expect the book now to be on my desk, and a business owner, I'd be interested to read it. But what you're saying there is put this book in the hands of parents and teachers for them to be able to pass that knowledge down and influence their children to possibly become entrepreneurs, or actually just let them know that it's a viable option.
Yeah, and it's a great career option. I mean, that's what the city of Hull has done. The reason I call it the most enterprising city for young people in the UK is because it's actually made, and we've copied that in the Yorkshire Coast region. It's actually made running your own enterprise as a top career choice.
Excellent.
Yeah, because that's really the starting point. It's not that I can't do anything else but run my own business. It's that, yeah, I should. Yeah, what a fantastic thing to do. What a fantastic thing to do, to be in control of my own destiny by running my own business. And they get it from they honestly, the kids get it from a really young age. If the environment's right, Ian, they absolutely love it. And I mean, I judge lots of awards of schools and things like that, and you know, they'll knock all these scale up advisors into touch. I tell you what, with their ideas. Their ideas are absolutely fantastic. And they're not crazy. They're just innovative. Yeah, they're just creative and they're just innovative. And yeah, it's fantastic.
I've run some myself at university level, you know, and what you find is they've got no preconceived ideas where we might go, that wouldn't work, or you're not going to raise the finance for that, or what will happen here is, and we've got all these decades of like pain. They are fresh and they're just like, well, let's just try it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, there's a couple of young people in Hull that took a disused little shop, and you look at it and you think, God, this isn't going to work. You know, they're banging gaming, copies, vegan food, this, you know, like just everything into this shop. Yeah, but it works. It's absolutely fantastic. Now, if you've got a bank manager looking at it, and so, you know, what niche are you in? What sector are you in? You know, they're in about 8 sectors in the one little shop. You know? It's fantastic. And that's the way to go, isn't it? You've got to, the great thing about there's somebody called Dr. Ernesto Ciroli, and he based his whole enterprise missions around the world on small is beautiful, Schumacher's Small is Beautiful. And the first rule of it is that you only offer help to people that come to you asking for it in enterprise. And the other thing is you're not judgmental. So once you actually find out what they need help from, you give them a connector. You don't say, well, if you did this to your business, it probably would work, or you did that. Do you know what I mean? It's not about judgment. It's actually you being a super connector to get them the help. You know, can you market the product well? Brilliantly. Can you market product brilliantly? Can you create the product and service absolutely beautifully and brilliantly? And can you manage the money absolutely beautifully? Nobody can do that, all 3 things. So you might have to find some people to give them that can do some of those things, but don't mess around with their with, you know, what their business is and what they think they can do. Get them to do some test trading to see if they can get any customers for it. Yeah, but don't. You know, there's a lot of spoilers out there, aren't there, really?
Yeah, and they'll stem innovation by telling you it won't work. And, you know, you can imagine how many great businesses or ideas that have been not fulfilled because someone said that's not gonna float. And especially from some of the advisors or, you know, bank managers, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there are some controversial bits in the book, and one of the reasons I actually
controversial, Tony, yourself, really?
Yeah. I took a sabbatical in 2010 and went to Malta to write a thriller, because I do lots of fiction writing, and as well as enterprise, and but basically the reason I did it was that I was so disenchanted with the whole business support sector in the UK and my role in it, because I'd founded one of the largest national organizations there, and they were actually using redundant bank managers and bank managers for work experience as mentors to young people. And I mean, I could have cried. I mean, you know, seriously, I just had to get away from that whole scene, and then I came back and created the MicroBizMatters movement as a result of it, and resigned my kind of executive role in that organization. But yeah, God, you're absolutely right. You know, we kill creativity and innovation, don't we? It's like, you know, one of the reasons that I see old pictures of you like kayaking and doing all this stuff with people, and a lot of those people are business owners, aren't they, that you're doing all that stuff with? And I don't think people in these large corporations actually understand what makes us tick at all. Really.
Not at all, no.
So there we go.
Let's talk about the Happipreneur book then, because that term, people might not be aware of it or familiar with it, or they might be thinking, what's Tony on about?
Yeah.
What's the whole concept, Tony?
Yeah, okay. Well, it was a 2-year project to write The New Small is Beautiful, but instead of Schumacher's economics as if people mattered, I wanted to write a book about enterprise as if people cared.
Okay.
So that was the idea. It was to update the values, if you like, or to keep the values, but update the practical content so that it was of use to all enterprising people. And about 5 years ago, with an agent, we'd actually pitched a book called Walking with the Entrepreneurs, because I've been lucky enough. The book's not really about me, although it is a memoir. It's about all the entrepreneurs I've met. I've been very, very lucky. Even my last boss is married to the Secretary of State for Education in Trump's government. And so these are real entrepreneurs that I've actually been with and I've learnt with, and I spend my life with now. And I felt if we could create it into practical tips. And anyway, Heinemann and Wiley were really keen on this idea of walking with the entrepreneurs. And as often happens, they're one of the top 5 book publishers in the world. As happens sometimes, the commission editor left and it got dropped. So I still had in my idea that here was a very good idea to write The New Small is Beautiful, but as a guide for all enterprising people. And it took a number of years before I found a publisher and a writer, which is Taryn Lee Johnston, to actually help me do it. And the way it's been done is to explain as a memoir. Taryn creates a narrative as to my life with and learning from all of these entrepreneurs, right from my father, who was owned his own business. So right through my life, the people I've actually learned from. And then we did a question and answer at the end of each chapter. So therefore, there's lots of practical tips and various things, but it is all based on actually what I've learned, not what I'm actually saying you should do.
Okay, yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
So therefore, I always say that the most successful entrepreneurs do have a number of things in common, but they will never be able to articulate it from the stage. They're not the Gary V's and Tony Robbins and various things, because to them, they're actually just building a business, looking after their family. Do you know what I mean? It takes people like me to actually write down, what it is that they all have in common, if you like, as traits and what you can learn from them. Because they're not, they're not the real entrepreneurs are not professional speakers.
Yeah. You took the words out of my mouth, actually, because I was really interested in what are the common traits. What do you see, Tony?
Oh, well, I mean, the number one thing, and this really, it takes hard work, but it's a lot more than hard work, is that they are all outstandingly good at what they do. That's the Ciroli thing and Schumacher thing, is that they do something absolutely beautifully. Yeah. And they do it better. And so take an example. My classmate, at school is called Sir Jim Ratcliffe, and he's Britain's richest business person. He's worth £19 billion, and people know him as much now for the football clubs he's buying with Ineos and the cycling teams and all the various things like that. But you've got to remember that before he made his first investment and he put his house on the line and all his chattels and various things to go into business. He was 40, and he was a chemical engineer that had business accountancy qualifications to the limit, and he was an investor. He was a broker for investors and various things. So he was able to buy things from BP and Shell and Esso and all these different organizations and make unsuccessful assets into the most successful assets in the world. And I actually recommended that he should be put in charge of when we had all the shortages of masks and testing and all the various things. I said he should, as a chemical engineer, as a manufacturer, understanding chemistry as well, and he was pretty good at biology as well, and really caring about these kind of things and being able to scale up very, very fast manufacturing with 100% safety, which he's known for throughout the world. What better person to actually run the whole, pandemic campaign in the UK, really, and get it all sorted out. So Kanye King, for example, was an outstanding talent booker, created something totally unique, and managed to was a brilliant influencer. She's the most awesome, persuasive influencer in the world. And she managed to persuade Lionel Richie to come over from America at the very first Mobos when everybody said, well, what is this, And she's completely changed music of black origin. Does that make sense? Charlie Mullins revolutionized the plumbing industry, not only because all his plumbers are as good as he was as a plumber, but they do the work faster, cleaner. They look better. It was there's no arses hanging out of jeans kind of stuff. They're not allowed to have a cup of coffee. They've got to do the job quickly, get it all done. And the other thing he does is, because he's learned about banks and various things, they pay to a quote in advance.
Okay.
Yeah, so they actually pay for the job. It's job and finish, and it's done. And of course, what happened was all the celebrities in London, and he still only trades in London with his 60 million or more business. All the celebrities said, if you want a plumber, you've got to use Pimlico plumbers, because they're clean, the security, there's no chit chat, they don't, they're confidential. Do you know what I mean? He professionalized the plumbing industry. So, and I could go on, but all of them are outstandingly good, Ian, at anything they do. The other thing is that Lord Sugar was a client of ours. My business, Claire and my business ran for 33 years till about 18 months ago. It didn't collapse, but she's got other businesses to run, and I've got my campaigning to run. But one of our clients was Lord Sugar. He was Alan Sugar then. He was chair of Spurs at the time. And basically, he taught me, because I followed him ever since that period when he was a client, he taught me the importance of the value of a pound. All of his success was actually about the fact that he was never ripped off on value. And he could actually price the products absolutely right, so they gave value.
Yes.
And he made in 4 days what he needed to actually pay all the bills, so that he could invest more from the money that he'd made in the next 3 days, in more stock and various things to actually. Does that make sense? It's like bang on with the value of a pound. And all the entrepreneurs I know, even Jim Ratcliffe with his 19 billion earnings, is not like a lot of the entrepreneurs that you'll actually see lauded in America. He knows what a value of a pound is. He'll know what the price of bread is. He'll know what the price of a bus fare is. Yes. He'll be willing to go on a bus. Yeah. How many cabinet ministers do you think would actually be willing to even go on a bus? So the value of a pound is very important. People grow not by that scale-up growth strategy. All of these entrepreneurs have grown through making brilliant deals. So that's another thing. You've got to learn how to negotiate. they'll never say that from the stage. They'll talk about mindset and all the things that they think that they're asked to talk about when they're on stage. It's about having a positive mindset. It's recruiting for attitude, not skills. But their growth has come from they're actually brilliant, bloody well negotiators to make win-win deals with the suppliers. Because when you're starting up, you need a bit of credit from your suppliers and various things, in order to do things. And so you barter and you create brilliant win-win deals, and they see opportunities. And the other thing is that they're faster, they're more decisive than other people. And if something's not working, they pull it back and they move on to the next thing. These are all traits that they all have.
You raise a really good point, though, Tony, about speakers or... I'm trying to be diplomatic here, but I'm going to go for it. People on the stage will say the things that people expect them to say, or the things that people want to hear. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I've mentioned before you're controversial. In terms of some of the controversial things in the book, have you got any examples where I'd love to give you the platform now to be controversial, because I believe we need to be. If we're all just happy clapping, we're not going to get anywhere. We need to actually pull some of these tight threads out and talk about these things. So what kind of stuff are you raising in the book?
In summation, and let's not see it as a negative, because there are it's about the snakes. And it's about the ladders. Yeah?
Okay.
So it's about avoiding the snakes. I think P.G. Wodehouse once, is one of my favorite writers, once said that there's many a man that may look respectable that can actually hide at will behind a spiral staircase. And what that means is that there are lots of people that look absolutely fantastic, they'll look absolutely successful, that look the person you would, go through hedge for, that you'll follow till the end of days, that are the most motivational people that are actually conning you out of money. And so you've that's the great thing. Someone like Lord Sugar, I'm absolutely convinced, since he was about 25 or 26, has never been ripped off or conned by anybody. You've got to avoid the snakes, especially at startup. So, I mean, Mike Winnett, the Entrepreneur, was willing to be interviewed by Taryn for the book, and there are a number of them on YouTube at the moment that are doing exposés, and Penn and Teller and James Randi have been doing it for years and years of the exposés. But let me just hit you with three, and we'll get sued together. So the first one is what I call the business opportunity industry. And I do know a lot about this because I was vice chair of the UK Direct Selling Association, and I was chief executive of Amway UK, as you know. So I know a little bit about multi-level marketing and various things. And the fact is that the statistics will prove that only 0.1% are actually making the money that they actually anticipated when they were recruited into the businesses. Now, I don't need to go into all of the ways that's done, but it's done by creating all these scams, really. And it's not a scam because there are some successful people, and because the companies can always point to some successful people, then they can also transfer the blame to you.
Yes.
You didn't work hard enough. You didn't recruit enough people. You didn't whatever. They won't say that actually the products are priced twice as much as you'd pay for them in a shop or anything like that. They'll transfer the blame to you. And it's very persuasive. I mean, it's such a persuasive atmosphere. People are asked to almost like get rid of anybody that's being negative around them. So all you've got is this positive vibe around you. So, even family members, get rid of them. Only associate yourself with the 5 most successful people, that you can find, the wealthiest people as well. It's a secret of success. But of course, they then become in a world where everybody's faking it. Everybody's renting cars that look good in order to recruit. Everybody's living in a house before they've actually earned it with a massive mortgage, etc.
Yeah.
Because they know that they won't be able to recruit without doing all this fakings and make it. And they'll spend a fortune on the second area, which is self-help, on self-help books. And of course, I don't know if you've ever attended any of these conferences, but, you know, Mike Winnett actually points to the fact that, you know, attending the conference is only the bottom thing on the ladder.
Yeah.
Upgrading, upselling, and you might end up in the end paying $40,000 a year for a mastermind group with the guru.
By my program at the back of the room, you've got the next hour, the first 10 people can get it, and it's wild.
Absolutely. So, you know, so the whole self-help industry is actually based on actually a funnel of actually making sure that they get you in at one level, you're surrounded by positive people. The only way to succeed in your life is to keep buying and keep moving up and spending more money. And the amounts of debt people get into is absolutely terrible. And so, you know, those are the kind of things. And then obviously there's the ones that I hate the most, which are the, I suppose I would call the fake speakers, which because I actually think that is, you know, and it is all American. One of the reasons we are down 21st and 23rd down the world is that the UK has copied everything regarding motivation and entrepreneurship from America. And a lot of it is the dark side. You know, it really is. Now, these people are narcissists. They actually believe what they're doing is a great thing for the world, and they can point to one or two people that hug them and love them and have succeeded from supposedly following. But if you actually analyze what they're saying, you know, they're making up bullshit stories to actually influence people into some really dangerous places. And so that they are the people I actually hate the most, really, because I think that, you know, it serves them well to actually create an unreal world in the same way as it serves some politicians to create an unreal world for everybody. But there are so many people that get hurt, Ian. Those would be my top three anyway. And in the book, we do actually name some names. So, I mean, to give you one, you know, I don't think I can be sued by it. It's a personal preference, but the MLM company I dislike the most is Herbalife.
Okay.
And yet they've got the biggest celebrities in the world, like Cristiano Ronaldo. Yeah. Wearing their shirts of the football teams they sponsors. So it's a very difficult world to be in. But I think it's important to avoid that. And one of the things about being a happypreneur is that you actually put friends and family near the top. Unlike all of these schemes, you actually put friends and family near the top, because there's loads of research to prove that people are happiest that actually put friends and the family at the top and are doing what they love to do and various things. And most people in MLM schemes, for example, or even taking a Bitcoin business or whatever you like, are actually loving what they do. Yeah. Yeah. So the third thing is about avoiding debt. Now, all of those three things will put you into debt. Yeah. Whereas I actually believe that one of the things that we need to do, and one of the things COVID will do and the pandemic will do, which is a good thing, is people will look at their costs that they're actually paying for different things, and they'll actually say, how can I reduce my cost to the personal cost to the minimum, business costs to the minimum, so that I can, you know, what I earn allows me to make ends meet, kind of thing. And I think that's a good thing, because debt is the real killer to happypreneurship.
Yeah, I agree. There's no point in trying to earn as much money as you can to buy things you don't need to impress people you don't like. Yeah. No point. No point. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I've said this many times. I'll sit here with a cheapy watch and, you know, and a pair of Nike trainers, and I'm happy, man. I'm authentic with it. And when you mentioned before about, you know, the kayak and bit and people taking about, and, you know, taking entrepreneurs out into nature, that's what does turn us on, because we are happy, we are friends, we want to be able to share that with each other, and also share business stories and support one another.
I mean, aren't we so lucky? And that's the, people don't talk about the fact that, we turn our enterprising life into something that's right for us, don't we?
Yes.
Which, it's a fantastic thing. I must admit, I think that the figures are absolutely right, that 80% of us that are self-employed and microbiz owners are actually happier and don't want to ever have a job again.
We're unemployable now.
Exactly. You're right.
And you've got people like Claire here who's commenting saying, I've got no clever comments, but it's motivating and it's giving me courage. The books, Tony, that you write, the interviews that you give, the reason I had you on here today is for people to understand that they don't have to be these Gary V's or the Tony Robbins or even the Charlie Mullins. You don't have to be striving to. They might not want £1 million. It's whatever makes you happy in your life.
Yeah.
Then that's what I'm interested in.
And I think that's one of the things that hopefully will come over in the book, Ian, is the fact that the people, even the ones that are famous, are happy. I hope so. Do you know what I mean? They do put family. They might have large corporations now, but they do what they love. Number one, that's number one thing, is that you're doing what you actually love to do in the hours that we've got during the day. The amount of stress you get in many employed jobs is actually unbearable, isn't it? Really, with managing.
Tell me about it.
Oh wow. Yeah. So, all the people that I mentioned that we can learn from, genuinely, hand on heart, are all people that are living happy and fulfilled lives. They're enjoying what they do.
I'm going to throw this to you, and I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer, but I'm going to talk about some of the people that asked to come on the show, and we get, regular communications daily, a lot of them from America. And there's not much substance to those public speakers, Tony. And I think that's what you're alluding to before. That what they say is often on a bed of sand, and they look great, they speak great, they're very positive. They might be attractive people and full of energy, but actually, what is the message that you're trying to get across here? And I think you can go with your gut and you can understand, well, actually, they aren't for me. That they're not really sharing anything. I don't know how can we surround ourselves with people that we can learn from, that we can take energy from, and that are authentic and do care for us, without falling down this snake or meeting this snake along the path that we're on.
Yeah, well, I think the third thing on my startup thing, if you remember, is bootstrap, don't borrow, test trade first, and the third thing is ask a business owner who understands your customers. So at start, in those vulnerable 18 months to 3 years when you're starting up, and all sorts of people could actually rip you off, and you'll end up paying for insurance that you don't need, or they'll never pay out for, or equipment that you don't need, or an office that looks absolutely fantastic but you can't afford. All of those things that you'll be sold by so many different people, and they're only doing their jobs, kind of thing. And some of them are so persuasive, and if it looks too good to be true, then it probably is. But the one thing that you can actually do is absolutely make sure that you ask a business owner. I don't care where it is, they'll help you. You'll find one. Yeah. Ask a business owner that's working in approximately the same sector as you, that will have similar customers to the one you have, and get them surrounding you. Yeah, get people that really understand. They won't know all the ins and outs of your unique business, but they'll understand in principle the customers you need to get. And that would be my first thing. And one of the things that you'll notice in most young enterprising people, which is absolutely great, is that many of their parents have actually helped them in that. They've
Yes.
asked people, they've asked, yeah, I know somebody who's running one of those, or, you know, I'll ask the bloke I take my car into, or did you? A lot of the parents have been major helps to young people in introducing them to people that actually talk about the important thing, which is customers. Because if you haven't got any customers, you ain't got any money coming in. It's not. You know, Rhonda Byrne would like us to believe that it's all about magnetism, and you know, it's all secrets of success, and it's all power of attraction, and it's those kind
Affirmations.
At the end of the day, it's about customers giving you some money. So surround yourself by some people that really know what they're doing in terms of giving people that could be your customers value.
And that doesn't have to cost anything, Tony.
No, it doesn't have to. And the thing is, and that's the really encouraging thing that I'm seeing all around the UK at the moment, is that business owners are helping our MicroBizMatters Day every year. It'll be our 7th this annual MicroBizMatters Day. So, and that gets, you know, we actually do hit millions of people just dropping in for 15 minutes into the digital streams, or tweeting and retweeting stuff. But the whole idea of the day was just to give 15 minutes to another micro business owner, nothing more than that.
Yeah,
just give a little bit of time, and people are more and more willing to do it because they realize, the whole country isn't in it together, but we are, as micro business owners, self-employed. We're 96% of all businesses, and we are in it together as a community. You know, those are the people are your top helpers that you can have.
100%. And you know, that 50 minutes has turned to 60 that you've just gave us, Tony, and I really appreciate it. You can see some of the comments that are coming in here that people are feeling good, people are feeling supported and hopeful about their businesses, because I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves. We're looking over the fence at other business owners, at other successful businesses, and you have to kind of just walk your own path, don't you, Tony? You kind of walk anybody else's, and exactly. I think once you accept that, it's a bit easier to do that. Yeah,
I'm totally agreeing. Totally agree.
So where can we find you? Anyway, but before we do that, thanks so much for the support you give me, you give the show, you give us all on behalf of everybody watching. I really appreciate the campaigning you're doing, everything you've done for decades, you know, the pain in 30 days and everything.
Yeah.
It does not go unnoticed, my friend, and I really appreciate that. So where can we find you?
There's an awful lot of us, Ian. It's lots and lots of people. So it's, but you know, I think the thing, especially to the young enterprising people of the future as well, and those that have been excluded, is that you know, we are not going away.
Yeah,
our voice is getting stronger. And we have lots of options that we're working on to try and make life better for micro business owners and self-employed people in the future. It's still the best career option in my view.
100%. Yeah. And we kind of quit. We just have to keep banging the drum, and you are absolutely an example of that, because you've banged this drum for so long, and you aren't putting that beater down.
Good, thank you.
So where can we find you, Tony? Where can we find the book? Where can we catch you on social?
Yeah. Okay. So at Tony Robinson OBE is the Twitter handle, and there's 20,000. And I use Twitter and LinkedIn more than anything else. So I'll just say that now. So I'm very sporadic on Instagram and Facebook in comparison. But so get me at Tony Robinson OBE at LinkedIn and Twitter, and you'll certainly see me around at all the conference. This is judging time, so next week we've got the finals of the Great British Entrepreneurs Awards, which I'm a judge for, so that's absolutely fantastic. I think there's nearly 2,000 people registered for the virtual finals event, which is amazing. And I'm also doing judging the Simply Business £10,000 prize to somebody to help them bounce back, really. So there's lots of things like that. MicroBizMatters Day should go in everybody's diary, which is January the 8th, Friday, January the 8th, 2021. and that's absolutely amazing. And if you want a copy of the book, I'm going to do an ad. Going to do an ad.
Go for your life.
If you want a copy of the book, big book, then yeah, I'm not doing very good at ads. It's in all good bookstores, Waterson's, WH Smith's, everywhere you look, or you can actually go to TonyRobinsonOBE.com for further details. How about that?
And Tony, you will sign a book for people, won't you, if they ask you?
I will do. If they come to my website, they can get a signed copy. Yeah, definitely.
Good man. I've got a couple of signed copies of your books, and they're treasured. They're treasured. Sure. Are you before you go? Are you still pounding the streets? Because obviously we haven't got half marathons here, the Great North Run, and things that's all being cancelled.
I did the virtual Great North Run, so that was my 4th of 5. So I said I'd do 5 half marathons this summer for 5 friends in memory of, and for Macmillan Cancer, and that was great. But yeah, did you do the virtual Great North Run?
I didn't, but I'm clocking up quite a lot of miles anyway these days.
You look super fit, my friend.
Oh yeah, I'll take that. I don't feel it, but I'll take it.
Oh, you do. You look absolutely amazing. Yeah,
thanks.
Yeah, well, I think that's really important, don't you? I think we should say to everybody running their own businesses that we have a duty to ourselves to keep ourselves as fit as we possibly can,
And that's why I'm taking these business leaders out on the hills and kayaking, Tony. We've got to get them out and get them moving.
Definitely.
Good man. We could talk all day about various bits of mental health and physical health, but for now we'll leave it there. Again, Tony, thank you so much. Thank you for everything you do, and best of luck with the book. And we'll see you soon.
My pleasure. Thank you very much. Tony. Enjoyed it. Thank you. Bye.
So there you go. That was our friend Tony. Wow. I love having the likes of Tony on the show, because we'll talk about it is how it is, and it's not all unicorns and rainbows, but again, it's not all doom and gloom either, so yes, walk your path, and some of the awesome advice that Tony's gave there. Watch this back. I'm going to watch this back. I'll listen to this back. It'll be a podcast on the show within the next couple of weeks, maybe. So I encourage you to listen it back. Thanks so much, everybody, for your comments and watching today. I know live is difficult sometimes for you, because obviously you've got businesses to run and homeschooling sometimes and bits and pieces that get in the way. But we can always watch this again. It's always there for you. It's evergreen for you. So if you feel like you've enjoyed it, or some of your friends might enjoy it, click the share button and pass it over to them as well, because there's so much wisdom in there from our Tony. So until next time, I'm Ian Farrar. This is the Industry Angel.